Okay, here we are. This is Doug's ram pump after 10 years. I'm going to talk a bit about some of this stuff here that I've been through. Okay, here's the plastic valve or the brass valve that comes inside of these 2-inch foot valves right here. That's what comes inside right there is these brass foot valves. It has a rubber O-ring around it. I got to replace those about every 2 years, but I don't use these brass valves because it always breaks off right here at the stem from the weight when it drops down, because as you can tell from this one right here on the bottom, I have it's a 1/2-inch stainless steel shaft that I had made, and I put these lead weights on it. And these lead weights, I like them because you can get them in different sizes and hang just the right amount of weight on there so you can get maximum flow. And with those weights on there as well, with this screw right here, you can adjust it very precise on how much water is flowing through. This is a stainless steel washer, a rubber washer sandwiched between 2 stainless steel washers. That's so when it drops back down like that, it doesn't beat this brass valve guide all up. And these valve guides, as I said before, I make these are rainbird nozzles, and I drill this out and thread it so the taper is going downward. I had to cut these tops off in order to get the tap to go in this way because there wasn't enough room. As you can tell by that old one right there, see, I didn't cut the top off of it yet. But this is the one where it beat it all up, and if you look real close there, you can see I went ahead and patched it back up just as an emergency one, just for the halibut. But that is a bushing from a rainbird sprinkler nozzle that I bored out, and then I drilled and tapped so I could screw it in there. So every 3 to 5 years you replace this, because if you don't, it'll waller this all out. And that's a stainless steel valve stem that I had made in there, and I'm still using, it's hard to see it, but I'm still using the original brass valve. I'm still using this brass valve, but I drilled this out and tapped it in the center with the 1/2-inch fine thread, so this is now has a stainless steel shaft going through here. And as you can see, I put a spot on it right there so I can grab it with a wrench, so I can take this big nut off right there. This is all stainless steel, because if you don't use this stainless steel shaft, the valve will not last no time at all, and it will break off from the shaft right here. That's what it will do. That's no good. Springs. I got tons of broken springs around here. Back in the early days, I used these springs, but you know, none of them last no time at all. I mean, you get a couple weeks, a month or two maybe, and the springs always break every time without fail. So springs are out. This is those Chinese valves I was talking about. These are some bad ones. See how it cut that rubber washer? I mentioned this in my other video, these cheap Chinese valves. They're cheap, $5. Well, they cut that rubber washer in 1 to 2 weeks. No good at all. I even tried their stainless steel version. No good either. It didn't last. The spring was the first thing to give out in it. And then you look at the inside of it, and it's just starting to beat itself up. These kind of valves simply do not work. Not even in stainless. I didn't even get about 2-3 weeks out of these stainless steel ones, and they died. Gate valves here, no good. They crack, and the flapper beats itself all to pieces. I wouldn't even mess with these at all either. These kind of valves here, see if I can get the sun in there just right. They have a plastic part inside of them. Do not use these. These are garbage, absolutely. You'll get 2 weeks out of these and they'll die. Just one right after. Do not use these. The best kind, this is my favorite. The Everbuilt 1-inch brass valve. But the problem is this is what happens when water sits on top of them. Even a little tiny bit of water, it breaks these valves. So I finally figured out how to solve the freezing problem by going to stainless steel, but at the same time, brass would probably now work now that I figured out how to keep them from freezing by flowing water through the system, by clamping down on these lines with these valves to keep water pressure. I just removed that valve so I can show you. This is the one that goes on there, right there. And for you that don't like the lead on the bottom of it, you can paint the lead with something if it bothers you that much. And I suppose if you wanted to, you could even extend this shaft up here and put the weights on top. That's another option, but I like it the way I got it. But don't forget these rubber sandwich between these two stainless steel washers. That keeps this from beating this brass bushy, hammering it down from the top. These are the rubber O-rings. Got them from China. You can buy tons of them for just a couple dollars. Way cheaper than going to the hardware store. I have a lifetime supply of them right here. Well, I guess that pretty much mostly covers most of the problems here. All the stuff I've dealt with. Oh, and there's the pressure tank, a 5-gallon one. I lowered this one down to the ground. I took it down probably about 6 inches, and it doesn't move at all now when the pump pulses. It's only a 2-gallon tank. It was a 5-gallon tank. And let's see, we'll walk up here and take a look at the standpipe again right quick. This is the standpipe setup that I'm using, as I've shown in my other videos. And I have a 3-inch pipe coming into the back of it. There's a 3-inch main line, and that comes down 700 feet down the canyon in order to gain about 4 feet of fall. And that goes into a big pipe at the bottom. Splits into two 2-inch pipes. One 3-inch pipe. And up there about 200 feet is a 4-inch pipe. And then it goes 200 feet of 3-inch pipe. And that divides into two 2-inch pipes with the plastic. And as I mentioned before, I couldn't get the steel to work. It was just endless problems. I went back to the plastic, and somehow the plastic absorbs the harmonics in the pipe. I like that big standpipe too, because I have right here a submersible pump, and if I really need lots of water, I can drop my submersible pump down in that standpipe and I can pump water with electricity up the hill, which is what this electrical box and line is all about. But as long as since I've been here, I've never had to use this yet. My ram pump supplies me with all that I need. Well, there it is, folks. Quick, and this is some good information. It's going to save you a lot of headaches and a lot of trouble. I don't know what I'm leaving out this time, but guess we'll find out in the future. Thanks a lot.